In December 2019, China notified the World Health Organization of several cases of human respiratory illness, a disease later named COVID-19. The virus causing this disease is known as severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. The disease spreads through small droplets that are expelled from the nose or mouth when a person with COVID-19 coughs or exhales. Therefore, standing close to someone who is infected can put you at risk. These droplets can land on your hand and be transmitted through something as simple as a handshake, if afterwards you touch your eyes, nose, or mouth, the so-called T-zone. The virus is known to survive on different types of surfaces, so touching these contaminated surfaces and then touching your T-zone brings a high risk of infection. What we know so far: the coronavirus is spherical in shape, and its genetic material is encapsulated by different types of proteins. Some of the key structural ones are spike S protein, the most prominent feature of coronaviruses from where they get their name, then M, or membrane protein, and the so-called envelope protein.
The outbreak of COVID-19 has exposed a major risk to Visit Malaysia 2020 VM 2020 campaign, as 50% of nations' tourists are originate from Singapore and China. The increasing cases of COVID-19 in both countries had led to the cancellation of many tours, which has already led to a large drop in the number of tourists to Malaysia. In order to fully contain the virus, the Prime Minister of Malaysia announced the 4 Phases of Movement Control Order (MCO), as they expected the number of COVID-19 cases would continue to increase. The prohibition during the MCO will further contract Malaysian tourism industry, and therefore effective policy to assist the industry players are imperative. Airline industry player has highlighted that the current travel ban and plummeting demand around the world have put the loss-making carrier at risk of bankruptcy. All three Malaysia major airlines, namely AirAsia, Malindo Air, and Malaysia Airlines, have initiated salary cut range from 10% to 100% and unpaid leave depending on the salary range and position. Nevertheless, the airline industry faced its gravest crisis when the government of China denied entry of foreigners effective from 29 March 2020 until further notice. As per end of today, foreigners are currently not allowed to enter the country. Besides, the Chinese authority also imposed stricter rules on foreign airlines, where foreign airlines are only allowed to offer one flight per week, and such flight cannot be more than 70% full, in response to the fear of fresh COVID-19 infection being imported to China. The drastic loss of both revenue and profit for all three major Malaysian-based airlines, which has resulted in a high risk of bankruptcy, has caused the airline to ask the government of Malaysia to step in to provide support to the airline industry. Firstly is a coordinate, collaborate and rise together instead of going at it alone. There is an old adage in the food industry that food safety should not be a competitive advantage. What that means is no one in the industry benefit if consume think the food supply might be unsafe. Industry players still compete for share of wallet, but not by actively suggesting other players are less safe. As the tourism industry strives to regain its footing, it should adopt a similar mindset, embracing a collective, mutually beneficial and coordinated approach. A rising tide lifts all boats. Secondly, choose the right messenger. Identify the most credible sources to tell your story. This is a classic situation where the voice will be as important as the message. The right voice will vary depending on the market region and may differ across the diverse segments of the industry. But they will matter and they likely will be different than before the crisis started. Next point is more clinic or hospital for treatment. Coverage of clinic is an important component as every community within the nation needs its own primary care coverage beyond COVID-19. The government has distributed clinics that cover the area of Malaysia and enable for them to reach the community that they need to actually address. Furthermore, not just activity for COVID-19 in a primary care. There is prioritization in the ministry lining of. Yes, the government address activity for COVID-19, but they also look at the other essential activity.